again. Get out of here. There we go. There's a random box in the middle of my screen. We're back live. If you watched my last stream and it randomly cut out at the end, it's because I got a phone call on my phone, and it was a lot. It was a video chat on my phone, so it was all weird. If you were watching the last stream, but we're back. We're doing now. It's 9, I guess 10 o'clock Eastern, but now they're doing the 5-1. And Todd Gurley's number 5. Tom Brady was number 6, and that's why I had to get back in here. Tom Brady being number 6, I did not see that coming. I personally thought Tom Brady was going to be either 3, 2, or 1. But him being number 6 just opened up the world. Like, it just opened up so much more. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Now we know number 5 is TG. And so Todd Gurley, definitely beast. Definitely the ultimate offensive weapon right now. If Le'Veon Bell would play last year, it would be interesting to see where Le'Veon Bell would have ranked amongst Todd Gurley. But Todd Gurley being number 5 makes sense. I think he definitely is a top 5 player in the NFL. Woo. Yo, what up? What up? Who's number 4? Oh, shit. Khalil's got to be number 2. Now it opened up the door for Pat Mahomes to be number 1, which I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. I want to say, you kind of want to pick Aaron Donald. You want to say back-to-back Rams, but I don't know. Like, it's going to be interesting because I feel like Aaron Donald could definitely, because he was in the MVP candidacy towards the end of the year at being one of the, obviously elite defender. And Khalil Mack is still out there. And we know what Khalil Mack did as far as turning the Bears around. I'm not going to say he turned around the Bears defense because the Bears defense was already elite before he even got there. So, in my personal opinion, I think right now we're just going to say Khalil Mack at 4. I could definitely see that happening. I don't think a quarterback's going to be at 4. I think that's definitely just too low for a quarterback right now. Antonio Brown being in the top 10 in general kind of surprised me, honestly. I know that it's voted by the players and what he's done overall as a player is really interesting. But realistically, I just didn't see him as a top 10 player if we're projecting to the 2019 season. I'm not sure what he's going to look like with Derek Carr because it's going to be really interesting with him and Derek Carr and how they're going to play and how they're going to help each other. Who do you think is going to be number 4? Yeah, Khalil Mack. Like I said, Khalil Mack makes the most sense. Like it's crazy because he held out and all like everything he did in 2018. But Khalil Mack makes the most sense because he went to a dominant defense and he made it more dominant. And I think he just did Khalil Mack stuff. Like at the end of the day, he was just still Khalil Mack. He still killed it as Khalil Mack, and he still deserves to be a top 5 player. So I can definitely see him being number 4 for sure. I feel comfortable with that. And I think Aaron Donald's gonna be 2, and then as a Chiefs fan, I think that definitely Pat Mahomes being number 1 makes sense too. See what they got. Oh, they just said Chiefs and Rams. Or is Pat? Hold on. Pat Mahomes at number 4. I did not see that coming. I guess they didn't want to give him that much credit yet. You got to rinse and repeat for Pat Mahomes. Right? Wow, dude. Like I'm I'm madly surprised myself. Pat Mahomes at number 4. Did not see that coming. I mean, league MVP, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. The only third person in NFL history to throw for 50 touchdowns. Number 4. I guess, like I said, you got to rinse repeat for Pat Mahomes. He has to repeat. He has to do it again. He has to prove that he's that good. If he throws for anywhere from 45 to almost 50 touchdowns next year, he can definitely creep into that number 1 spot. So that means Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald still on the board. Aaron Donald number 1? Is that a thing? I think Aaron Donald, he has to be number 1. I love Aaron Donald and I love Khalil Mack equally. I think they're both elite players, but we edge out Aaron Donald that much more in my personal opinion, and I think Aaron Donald number 1 is definitely a thing. Drew Brees is going to be too. Yeah, honestly, Drew Brees being this high in general, and you think about Drew being over Pat. That's I think at that point that's just kind of like a Hall of Fame. You already did it. You already been there. You done that. You got a ring. You got an MVP. You got it all. I think at this point it's just more or less, let's be honest, a popularity contest. And I think Drew Brees being number 1 definitely is that guy that, or not Drew Brees being number 1, but Drew Brees being better than Pat Mahomes is definitely at that point is just Pat Mahomes with the inexperience and not the reoccurring effect of him being that dominant player year in and year out. I think realistically, if you look at Drew Brees is like, you can automatically every year pencil in Drew Brees for 5,000 yards every year, hands down, no questions asked. You know Drew's good for 5, and Pat Mahomes just threw for 5 in his first starting year. But I mean, as a Chiefs fan, like I said, it's crazy because as a Chiefs fan, it's hard for me to buy into Pat Mahomes, but it's there. Like it's what he did was iconic, and it's just hard to actually say we have a quarterback. As a Chiefs fan, it's hard for me to say we actually have a quarterback. And it's I don't know. Maybe I put a video out. Maybe it's just time for me to say, okay, we actually have a quarterback. I think the whole entire time I've been a Chiefs fan, we just never had that guy that was our guy. And so if you had to choose between Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack at number 1, who you got? Yeah, that Demarcus Robinson touchdown was a dot for sure. See, it's gonna be interesting. Like as a Chiefs fan, I'm really interested to see if Pat Mahomes, the way he played last year, if it's gonna actually correlate to this year, or if it's actually gonna translate really well into this year, because of how many teams are gonna have that film on him now. God, that was a dot for sure. Yo, what up? Pat Mahomes, league MVP at number four. I did not see that coming. I really didn't see Pat Mahomes at number four. I thought once Tom Brady came in at six, I definitely thought I definitely thought Pat Mahomes was going to be at least two minimum, uh, one for sure. But him number four, just like and like I said, I really feel like Drew Brees is still yet to be unveiled. So I really feel like the only reason that everyone's kind of gonna go with Drew Brees is just because that he's been proven. And like I said, you can pencil in Drew Brees for 5,000 yards every year. This is Pat Mahomes' first year. Can he be penciled in for 5,000 yards every year? Yo, what up? Man, he's gonna have like last year. I thought he had a lot of pressure on him going into the season, taking over for Alex Smith in a playoff caliber team. But I think his pressure going into this year for 2019 is just gonna be huge. Is Pat Mahomes gonna have so much more pressure on him this year? Hudge just got some money. Pat Mahomes is like the greatest Kansas City Chiefs player of all time. Like he just like surpassed Tony Gonzalez as one of the greatest Chiefs players of all time now. Breeze, Donald, Mack. Who y'all got at number three? I think at this point now you think about maybe defense is starting to kind of come to the forefront. Like maybe people are starting to put a little bit more respect on defense, just a little bit more, or at least the guys that can get after the quarterback. In my personal opinion, I believe a good pass rush can mask almost anything defensively. So if you have a good pass rusher like an Aaron Donald, like a Khalil Mack, like a Von Miller, if you have guys like that on your defensive line that can get after the quarterback on a consistent basis, it masks so much more and it helps out your team so much more because now like your back end doesn't have to cover as long, your linebackers don't have to be in coverage as long, and then also you think about the things that it opens up for other players like not the secondary players but like the other guys on the defensive line that look good. I don't know, real quick. I don't know if you guys remember this. Minnesota. Uh, it would have been, it was a while ago. It was a really long time ago. Well, Minnesota had Jared Allen, Pat Williams, Kevin Williams, and then they had Ray Edwards. And I always kind of refer back to this. So Ray Edwards wound up getting paid off of that Minnesota defensive line, and he went to Atlanta. And when he got to Atlanta, he just did not live up to the hype because it was one of those things where somebody was going to get there one on one to just win, and you would have been looking good. So I feel like if I was on the defensive line with Jared Allen, Pat Williams, and Kevin Williams, I would have had the opportunity to be getting paid too as a pass rusher, just because like it was easy when you have guys like that on your defensive line. It's like that guy's automatically going to get 2.5 man every time, and once he gets 2.5 man, That frees up so many other people to do so much more. So then you think about like the Bears and their defense line with Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks, Leonard Floyd. Like Leonard Floyd, in my personal opinion, should be the beneficiary of having Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks on the line with him. I think Leonard Floyd is a guy that can definitely put up double-digit sacks. I think he's a good pass rusher. Don't get me wrong. Like if he was on a team by himself, I feel like he could still get after the quarterback. But if Leonard Floyd is on the defense line with Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack, bro, you should be out there eating. Like you should have anywhere from 10 to 15 sacks. And it's gonna be interesting as a Chiefs fan looking at what it's gonna look like for Chris Jones this year. Yes, he has Frank Clark with him, but last year he had Justin Houston and Dee Ford with him. So now if you're Chris Jones, can you do not like I'm not even talking about like give me 15 sacks. I'm talking about can you actually repeat as far as getting a double digit sacks, give me 12, 13 sacks on a consistent basis, and then give me a consistent quarterback rush every time or quarterback pressures every time, and then I can live with that. Drew Brees over Pat Mahomes. That's really interesting, honestly. That's really interesting. I mean, Drew Brees is a goat. Don't get me wrong. He definitely he passed the record for the most career passing yards. So it's like he owns that record now. And personally, him coming back this year is about to put that record way out there. Jason Witten, bro, messing up. Rob Gronkowski. Yo, anybody that's watching this, you're a real football head. What are your thoughts on Rob Gronkowski as the league's consistent number one tight end year in and year out? Is that it? Was that fair evaluation of him on his career? Should he have been consistent number one tight end year in and year out? Personally, not no bias BS. I don't feel like he was ever number one tight end when Travis Kelsey was starting to come on. And the reason why is because what makes somebody a number one or make somebody at least a top anything in their position is their availability. And that was one thing bad about Rob Gronkowski is Rob Gronkowski could not stay on the field to save his life. And I mean, but when he was on the field, he was dominant, like for sure, hands down. But the question is, if Rob Gronkowski doesn't get hurt like he does, what records did he set? What numbers do he consistently crush because he's on the field? Because he was that dominant of a player, and then having an elite quarterback like Tom Brady didn't hurt at all. Like it didn't hurt at all. 69, babe. LeGarrette Blunt, that's another random dude. I don't know why. Like, it just came on my mind. I was looking. LeGarrette Blunt's really random for some reason. Khalil Mack, number three. Yo, you might be right. Drew Brees at two. I don't know. Drew Brees number two might seem extremely likely now. Oh, excuse me. Who you got winning the Super Bowl? Who y'all got winning the Super Bowl? Or I'm not gonna say winning the Super Bowl. Let's say who you got in the respective conference championship games. Give me four teams. Give me two for the AFC, two for the NFC. Who y'all got? And then we can go from there. Personally, right now AFC, you gotta pencil in the Patriots. Like you kind of gotta give it to the Patriots until otherwise. Like I know, like the first 5 to 6 weeks, the Patriots are gonna struggle. They're gonna look like the Patriots, and everybody gonna be like, oh, the Patriots are losing this and losing that. But realistically, the Patriots are gonna come out and just kill it because that's what they do. And then I want to say the Chiefs, but I feel like I'll be kind of borderline biased if I say the Chiefs. So I feel like I'll be borderline biased if I say the Chiefs, but realistically, I want to say the Chiefs. I feel like the Chiefs are the defense, bro. Like I hate not having a good defense in Kansas City. Like even as elite as our offense is, that defense is just gonna rip my heart out so many times this year. It ripped my heart out last year on a consistent basis. I'm talking about game in and game out. Even though we won as many games as we did, it still ripped my heart out. Now I feel like if it depends on if the Chargers get Melvin Gordon and if Melvin Gordon decides to play this year. If the Chargers can get Melvin Gordon, they can stay healthy because that's the only thing that kills the Chargers is their health. But if the Chargers stay healthy, they have Melvin Gordon and they can stay pretty consistent across. I think once they get to the playoffs, they're going to be one of those teams that you just don't want to see in the playoffs. I feel like they're going to be one of those teams that are going to completely dominate and hurt a lot of people. Um, it just and they are in our division, so that's gonna be really interesting as well. But I definitely feel like the Chargers are gonna be a team to beat next year. I think a lot of people want to put the Browns in the AFC Championship game. Like they literally want to take the Browns from worst to first, and on paper for sure. But we've seen paper teams look before that should have been doing all these things that should have been consistently dominating. We've seen paper teams before go completely flop. Remember Philly when they had Namdi Asamoah, they brought in Cullen Jenkins, they had Vince Young, they had I want to say they had Michael Vick at the time. I'm not sure, but they had like so many people on their team or on their roster that everybody was just like, "Oh, the Philadelphia Dream Team," and that team just completely flopped. So like even with the Browns having a stacked roster like they are offensively, and then also I think a lot of people are not taking into consideration the growth of Baker Mayfield. Like we automatically assume that he's automatically going to go from here to here, and that's not for sure. Like there's no certainty there. Like yes, he has the weapons around him to do so, but there's no certainty that he's going to be that guy. There's no certainty that he's going to understand more reads, and him and Freddie Kitchens are going to be on the same page. So with the Cleveland Browns, you can't just automatically give them everything offensively and say that they're going to be good. I feel like with the Cleveland Browns, you have to consider a lot of things with them. Khalil Mack number 3. Yo, you're right, bro. Drew Brees is gonna be 2. Aaron Donald's 1. Thank you. It's funny if you guys like if you just get bored and you're sub to the channel, I appreciate you. But if you guys get bored and y'all want to go back and look at the year that Khalil Mack came out. I can't remember the draft class now, but I remember in that when Khalil Mack was coming out and Jadeveon Clowney was coming out, I legitimately told somebody this. I said I'd rather play Jadeveon Clowney 2 times a year because I don't think he's going to be that consistent of a factor than playing Khalil Mack coming out of Buffalo because I feel like Khalil Mack is going to be a consistent factor. And what do you know? Jadeveon Clowney went number 1 overall. Khalil Mack went to the Raiders. And it was a done deal from there. And all he's done since he's been in the league is become more and more and more and more and more dominant as a player and as a pass rusher. So it's so much bull. Like it was crazy. Like when they took him, I was so mad. And now that he's out of division, like they're talking about it now, or they're talking about him being out of division. Oh, bro, like thank the Lord, because I feel like now the only people that we have to deal with in our division is Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, and Von Miller, Nick Chubb. So like it's crazy. Like everyone in our division have a dual pass rush. Now we're not sure what the Raiders' dual pass rush is going to look like, but those 2 teams definitely have dual pass rushers, and having dual pass rushers just make it so much easier for people to do so many more things defensively. Forced fumble, touchdown, and a touchdown. Yeah, I said touchdown twice. Aaron Donald. That dude, like, he had like a whole offseason to himself, and they had the whole holdout and everything that happened with Oakland, and just all that BS. And then he goes to the Bears and he picks up where he left off, and then he picks up where he left off. But then you can see that like as the season went along, he started to get better and better and getting more and more football shape. And so it was like really cool and like really impressive to watch him do that. And then I think this year, with him being comfortable and settled in into Chicago, bro, I would not be surprised if he messes around and has the sack record this year. Like, I would not be surprised by it by any means, because that dude is just too dominant of a player as a consistent pass rusher. He's just way too dominant not to have that record, at least on his resume. If anything, at the end of Khalil Mack's career, I feel like he needs to have that record on his resume for sure. Khalil Mack needs to put up 22 sacks this year. 22 and a half sacks, 23 sacks. I think he's good for every bit of it, honestly. Khalil Mack, dude, just straight monster. Literally straight monster. Danny Trevathan, of course he's number one on yours. He makes your life easy. He's playing guard now. Uh, yeah. I think, like you said, Drew Brees number two. I really feel like at this point, Drew Brees might mess around and get number one just because they want him to give him that TLC. Like Drew Brees needs that on his resume. He always has his ring on his resume. He has the most career passing yards on his resume. Now it's like NFL top 100, number one player in the NFL on his resume. Like you got to have it on his resume, right? Like he needs all of these accolades on his resume. And personally, we already know Drew Brees is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Um, it's crazy a guy that went in the second round, being his size and his stature. I think a lot of people are hoping Kyler Murray becomes that quarterback as well. A lot of people want Kyler Murray to become that small quarterback that can, fight the odds and be against the odds and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see if Kyler Murray can actually do that and really take the Arizona Cardinals from last to first, or at least in the middle somewhere, and just kind of say, all right, going into next year, we have a franchise quarterback. Even you look at Baker Mayfield and his size and what he did for the Cleveland Browns. So it's like I think if we're looking at quarterback, two or three quarterbacks that are under pressure, in my personal opinion, going into the 2019 season. We have Lamar Jackson because of his defense and what we know what Baltimore is capable of doing or should be capable of doing, and the growth of him. Josh Rosen, like secretly, I feel like Josh Rosen has a lot of pressure on him to win his starting job in Miami and really take his game and hopefully take the Miami Dolphins to the next level. And then we have Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray has a butt ton of pressure on him. Not like Sorry about that. But not like in years past where people have had like, you had your number one overall pick. Okay, you have that pressure. That's pressure that's just going to come with that pick, and everyone's ready for that pressure. But now you're taking an Arizona Cardinal team that had a first round draft pick quarterback already in place, and then saying, okay, we're going to get rid of that quarterback for you, and then now you have to take this new system that's kind of wishy-washy in the NFL that we don't know if it's going to work. And then we got to take this new system, and then we got to take you, and then you got to make this team great. And we have to build a team around you and show that you can be that quarterback. So he has a lot of things going against him, Kyler Murray does. And if he can fight against two or three of those odds, like his height, his size, I think it's one for sure he has to overcome. But then to outplay Josh Rosen, to show that they made the right pick in Arizona, I think there's going to be so much pressure on him this year and what he has to do. And then also, I forgot one other quarterback. Mitch Trubisky has a butt ton of pressure on him for sure, just like Lamar Jackson. That Bears defense is too elite. They can't let that Bears defense go to waste and let that Bears defense not be in a Super Bowl next year, or at least in an NFC Championship game. If they get to the NFC Championship game, I'm sure, like personally, there's no one in the NFC that can touch the Bears, in my personal opinion. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Well, that's messed up. Omar Epps and no, I can see that. Omar Epps and Mike Tomlin. Dan Marino and David Hasselhoff. That was a good one. Like actually, Mike Tomlin and fucking Omar Epps. That was a good one. That was a funny one. Miles Garrett at 49. Oh shit. I seen that Miles Garrett at 49. That was pretty funny. I actually felt like he should be higher, but like I said, if we're projecting into 2019, I definitely feel like Miles Garrett should definitely be higher. But if we're staying right where we're at, I'm not sure if Miles Garrett is going to go that high, honestly. Or if we're projecting off of last year's product, I think he's right where he needs to be. But if we're projecting for 2019 and all the pieces that is on that defensive line in Cleveland, oh my God. Like, Miles Garrett is about to eat. Like, you can't double Miles Garrett. Olivier Vernon, I think he has something to prove to himself and to the league as well. Because Olivier Vernon in Miami, dude was a nice, consistent pass rusher. He gets to the Giants, he's kind of like, Olivier Vernon. Now, like, he's in Cleveland. I think the pressure is off of him, off that big contract. I think he has a chance with Sheldon Richardson and also Miles Garrett on the D-line with him. I think he has actually opportunity to get after the quarterback and be good. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland mess around. Depending on health, like, this is always predicated on health. But depending on health, I would not be surprised if Cleveland mess around and get anywhere from 50 to 60 total team sacks this year because they just have so many good pass rushers there. And then you think about what they can do in front of secondary standpoint with having a guy like Denzel Ward, drafting Greedy Williams. Like, they stole Greedy Williams. I personally feel like he still should have been a first-round corner. I know a lot of teams are kind of hesitant to mess with him, but he's from LSU, bro, DBU. Like, he's going to be okay. Worst case scenario, he's going to be okay. And so he's your number 2 corner now, and then you got Demarius Randall at safety. And so the things that they're going to be able to do on that second level or in the third level of that defense and the first level of that defense is going to be really interesting. I'm not sure about their linebackers because the interior linebackers, I've been kind of like, Joe Schobert is solid, though. Don't get me wrong. Joe Schobert is a solid linebacker. I guess I'm more or less worried about Christian Kirksey and what he can do. George Kittle. George Kittle's creeping up there now. It's funny, like I was watching something, when they unveiled George Kittle, they asked a question on NFL Network. They said, somebody said they didn't feel like Kittle was number 2. Like, Kelsey for sure is number 1, but they didn't feel like Kittle was number 2. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, who would you project at number 2? And the only guy that could come to my mind right off the bat was Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen is probably like the most consistent tight end in the NFL outside of Travis Kelsey. So I can see that. But like OJ Howard, like he needs to get up there. OJ Howard, stay healthy this year, bro. If OJ Howard can stay healthy this year, he's definitely going to be a beast. And then you think about David Njoku and all the stuff that's about to open up for him in Cleveland. Like, David Njoku just got to show up and show out. Hunter Henry is another guy that if he can stay healthy at tight end position, he can also be a beast for sure. And then Jason Witten is just going to come back and do Jason Witten things and just be a consistent presence, I guess, for Dak Prescott. Zeke Elliott. That dude, God. I wish, like, somebody, what was it? It wasn't this week. It was last week, I want to say, or the week before. Somebody was talking about Tyreek Hill being traded. And there's, like, trade rumors about Tyreek Hill. And I asked one of my friends, I was like, because Zeke was on his stuff and Zeke was going through some stuff. So I was thinking to myself, like, if we had an opportunity as Chiefs to go get Zeke Elliott, how interesting would that be? Like, go get Zeke and trade him for Tyreek. Like, I would be okay with it. Like, it would be a tough bullet to bite, don't get me wrong, but Zeke is such a dynamic player, so you would kind of live with it. But then at the same time, you're like, no, Tyreek Hill is just that. In my personal opinion, I think Tyreek Hill is just that much more dominant than Zeke. So I can stand by that trade 100%. Like, I love Tyreek Hill. And I'm not a small receiver. Like, I let it be known. Like, I'm not a small receiver fan. I'm not a fan of smaller receivers. But Tyreek Hill, bro, he's just built different, honestly. Like, out of all the speedster receivers that we've seen over the last couple of years, Tyreek Hill is just built different. He's just a different type of animal when it comes down to he gives small receivers an opportunity to be known, to be labeled, to be relevant, in my personal opinion. And I'm talking about guys that are like, under that 5'10" threshold, that 5'9", somewhere around there. Like, Tyreek Hill makes those guys relevant. And it just makes speed receivers in general relevant. Because speed receivers, the only thing we know is that they're fast. They can go deep, they can do posts, and that's it. But when you look at Tyreek Hill, bro, he's starting to develop that route tree. It's going to be bad. It's going to be, it's real stuff. Hey, if anybody from Carolina, if you're a Carolina fan and you're watching this, yo, what do you think about DJ Moore this year in Carolina? Do you feel like he can take that next step and that growth and become that number one target for the Carolina Panthers? Like, I'm curious to know, like, what do you guys think? Man, my phone's trying to die. Sucks. Yo, make sure y'all give the stream a like, man. I'm trying to get out there, trying to get some football conversation going, man. Like, hey, y'all can talk, y'all can chat, man. Don't just sit here and watch. Let's get some conversation rolling. We're down to our last two players, Drew Brees, Aaron Donald, and for sure it's going to be Drew Brees at number one. I think at this point, like I said, they got to definitely gonna put that on his resume. Already, he's a Hall of Famer, so it doesn't matter. They're gonna put that on his resume, and then you have Aaron Donald at number two, which I can see honestly. Like I get it, but I don't get it. Uh, it's funny because at the end of the year, when we're talking about MVPs, we're talking about Aaron Donald, Drew Brees, and Patrick Mahomes, and then you look at uh, now Patrick Mahomes coming in at number four, and then between them was Khalil Mack. So it's like, dang, was like Pat Mahomes even really considered, like, should he have one MVP at this point? Like, should it have been Donald or Breeze? Personally, I can see why people like it's NFL is like, what have you done for me lately, league? And down the stretch, Drew Brees kind of started to temper off a little bit. That Saints offense started off really explosive, and then it kind of mellowed out. And so I can see why people didn't want to go with Drew Brees. Whereas the Pat Mahomes offense and the Chiefs offense, what it was doing, it was staying consistent and it's consistent and explosive, and pretty much gave one of the biggest NFL games of all time. Uh, Pat Mahomes was one in the biggest game of all time on that Monday night game against the Rams. So I can definitely see that. But personally, I don't understand Pat Mahomes at number four now. Like it doesn't make any sense. At least your three MVP candidates being one, two, and three would make sense. But like this is voted by the players, so players just have different levels of respect for different players. And Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, and Drew Brees are just different players. Like Pat Mahomes hasn't. I think he has the respect because of what he's done last year, but Pat Mahomes just didn't do enough. And like I said, he got to rinse, repeat. If you can do it again, then you that dude for sure. I need to delete that. Why is that 30 minutes? What the hell? Oh, it's 3 minutes. I'm tripping. Here we go. Runner up. That's sad. Oh wow. All right. Hey, Mannix. Hey, bro. You're right. You're right, bro. Breeze number two. I think like the one thing that's crazy with Drew Brees is because of his height and everything, but it's so wild, and I don't know why this is. They throw deep balls as well, but it's so wild when you look at some of the shorter quarterbacks in the league, how consistent and how accurate they are on a consistent basis. Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, even Baker Mayfield last year, those guys are consistently accurate over time, and you would think that those would be the ones that have the least amount of accuracy. But it's like, you think about guys like Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler was like 6'7", 6'6", and that dude can drop a dime if he thought about it. So it's like, that's I think that's cool. Like, that's really impressive. Like, I don't know, like the analytics and the stats behind that. But short quarterbacks just seem to be a little bit more accurate than tall quarterbacks. And I don't know if it's because of the level of compensation they have to for their height. So they just do a little bit, their mechanics are just tweaked a little bit different. But, Drew Brees, all he does is drop dots for sure. That's true. Drew Brees is. That's probably one thing I love about Drew Brees, if anything. Like, he knows how to use all his eligibles. Like, when you're eligible receiver for Drew Brees, as far as tight end, running back, or wide receiver, you're gonna get your targets. And that's the crazy thing about the Saints offense. And that's since he's been in New Orleans, is that no matter who his weapons have been, Drew Brees have consistently he's targeted everybody. Like, you remember Marcus Colston and Robert Meacham, like, bro, they were getting their targets on. Even when fucking excuse my language, but even when Benjamin Watson was there, Benjamin Watson was getting targets, and Benjamin Watson was kind of like, I don't want to say a blocking tight end, but he was just kind of like a utility tight end, if you will. And so, like, even Benjamin Watson looked like a relevant receiver there. And I thought when the Saints got Kobe Fleener, when he went over there, I definitely thought Kobe Fleener was about to go next level with it. So I don't know, like, if I'm a receiver, if my career is on the back end and I get picked up, like, for instance, when Dez Bryant got picked up last year, I was like, oh, that's going to be nasty. When Dez got picked up by the Saints, I was like, that's perfect for them because Drew Brees is definitely going to get him his targets. And Dez is a good receiver, so all he needed was targets. Not saying Dak, I'm saying Dak is not that quality, like, but obviously if we're comparing Dak to Brees, then obviously we know what the deal is. But I just felt like when Dez got picked up by the Saints and Drew Brees and what they were going to be able to do, because they needed that number two option. They just didn't have that consistent number two passing option. We knew, Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield, we knew that was a thing for sure. But they needed that second threat on the outside. Michael Thomas was starting to kind of build that reputation of being the number one guy, and a lot of people are starting to look at him. So they were kind of trying to take him out of the game. So if they could have found another guy, and it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do this year as far as having that number two weapon on the outside and somebody they can actually trust and go to, or Drew Brees can trust and go to. It's all about the records, bro. Drew Brees got all the records. And it's crazy because, like, when he was leaving the Chargers, when he was leaving San Diego, he had that shoulder injury, and everybody really thought that was gonna be done for him. Like, and it's crazy because he went from having on his throwing arm, nonetheless, having that shoulder injury to having one of the most like effective and most dangerous passing careers of all time. And it's like, and he's throwing, like I said, Drew Brees can be penciled in for 45 to 5,000 yards every time, every year. Like right now, going into the 2019 season, all right, Drew Brees 4,500 yards. That's a for certainty. Just because like that's how he throws the ball and that's how the Saints offense rolls. And with them not having a 1-2 punch at the running back position, I'm really interested to see how they're going to use Alvin Kamara because you don't want to wear him out. And I think at the beginning of last year, we seen them really utilize Alvin Kamara to the best of their abilities. But then towards the end, especially when Mark Ingram came off his injury, they really start to give the ball. They start to balance the ball out a little bit more. Yo, give me a second real quick. I'll get my charger. Oh, we're back at it again with the white Vans. Well, that blows. Need an extension cord. 1 second. Back at it again with the white Vans. Gotta charge my cell phone because it's trying to die. So what do y'all think about the top 100 as like a list overall, honestly? Like, do y'all like the list? The idea of the list, is that good? Do y'all really believe the list is voted on by players? I think that's the number one question of like every year of the top 100. Like, did players really vote on this list, or did some writers get together and they asked like two or three players, and then they were like, okay, good enough. We're in there now. We charged up. About to be, anyways. Bring them. I wish Peyton Manning would come out of retirement. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Like Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning. There's one other player I was thinking about. Like there's some players I just wish they would come out of retirement just to see if they could still got it. I know Peyton Manning, especially towards the end of his career in that last year, his arm strength was gone. So I know Peyton Manning for sure probably can still got it or doesn't have the juice. But Calvin Johnson, I miss Calvin Johnson so much. Calvin Johnson is literally my favorite receiver of all time. I'm a huge Calvin Johnson fan. Dude is literally uncomfortable. Triple team, double team. Like Calvin Johnson is literally my favorite receiver of all time. Uh, but he had to retire early. It's crazy. Detroit fans, like I feel so bad for Detroit and Detroit fans. Y'all have had two of the most elite players at their respective positions over the course of their careers, and y'all just never could win that championship. And it's like that sucks. That really sucks. Like I guess the only thing now is just say that you guys have never had. I'm not gonna say never, but I mean Matthew Stafford is definitely a good, solid quarterback. But you guys have never really truly had a consistent elite quarterback. I guess you can say. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe eventually Detroit just finds an elite quarterback and wastes his career like they wasted Calvin's career and wasted Barry's career. God, it sucks so bad. Le'Veon is back. I'm interested to see what Le'Veon's gonna look like in his return to football. I'm excited for Le'Veon in his return to football. Aaron Donald. Facts. Aaron Donald, that dude. The number one player in the NFL, Mr. Aaron Donald. Jared Goff can say who because he doesn't have to worry about Aaron Donald chasing him down. You're slippery. God, dude, his ability, his quickness, and his ability to split the line is just, it's disgusting. It's literally disgusting. Two and a half, bro. Two and a half guys are dedicated to Aaron Donald almost every play. That's true. Go mode. Let me get one. I think that's the crazy part. Like as an offensive lineman, you kind of want to have that ego to say, "Bro, I can block you 1-on-1. You're not that good." But then like you don't want to like get beat, and then your ego gets double smashed. That's respect. Offensive linemen are in trouble now. Aaron Donald just let the secret out. That jump chop is done. Miles Garrett's watching like, oh, I'm about to add that to my repertoire. That's the crazy thing. Like the art of pass rushing. Like a lot of people, I don't think put like enough emphasis on the art of pass rushing. When you look at some of the guys that get after the quarterback and do it at a consistent basis, they are so technically sound. And not only are they so technically sound, they're consistently working on their technique. And then they keep coming up with different moves and things. Like before, it was like, Dwight Freeney with that spin move. Dwight Freeney would put that spin move on you that would literally destroy you. And Robert Mathis, him and Robert Mathis would consistently destroy people. There we go. They would consistently destroy people with that spin move. And so now, like, there's so many different, like, chops and spins and, like, karate starting to become a big factor as far as pass rushing. Something that I noticed that I think Aaron Donald, I'm not sure if it was Aaron Donald I watched did it or somebody else who did it, but they, like, took the forearm of the offensive lineman and benched it and, like, just like, bro, get off me. And so when they did that, like, it was hard, obviously, at that point. Like, it doesn't matter how long your arms are. Like, I'm about to bench your arm up off me, and I'm going to get after the quarterback. I personally feel like Aaron Donald should have won league MVP personally. Like, that's coming from a Chiefs fan. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, Aaron Donald should have been that dude that won the MVP. Aaron Donald's a beast, bro. Aaron Donald, number one. D tackle, like the most, I guess, the one of the most ugliest positions in NFL, if you will. All right, that's it. But yeah, defensive tackle, you would consider one of the most ugliest positions in the NFL. Dude just won league MVP, or not league MVP. He won number one. top 100. But I feel like, honestly, Aaron Donald should have been league MVP last year. I was saying it all the way up, like, bro, from the defensive tackle position, that's a position that's not supposed to generate sacks. It's a position that's supposed to generate pressure, yes, and help with the run game, but it's not generating sacks. But for him to have 20 and a half sacks from that position, that just shows how dominant and how good of a player he is on a consistent basis. So at this point, I wonder if teams are going to start looking at drafting defensive tackles the way, and this is the thing I love about the NFL, like the way that they're about to start drafting defensive tackles and the emphasis that they're going to put on certain defensive tackles. Like, everybody wanted that, big, strong, tall guy, but now, like, you look at guys like Geno Atkins and how Geno Atkins is a small defensive tackle who dominates guards. Aaron Donald's a small defense tackle who dominates guards. So maybe, now, like, if you're a 6'1" guard or 6'1" defensive tackle, you have a home now. Like, and that's the thing I love about the NFL. No matter your size and stature, you will find a home in the NFL because there's always something that somebody will find for you to do. And if you're good and you actually do what you're supposed to and do your job, then yeah, for sure you're gonna be cool. Oh, excuse me. Reactions. Pat Mahomes at number 4, though, that definitely surprised me. I thought Pat Mahomes is going to be, once I seen Tom Brady come in at 6, I thought Pat Mahomes is definitely going to be at number 1, or at least 2 at the worst case scenario. But Pat Mahomes being number 4 really threw me for a curveball. Aaron Donald being number 1 doesn't surprise me at all. Drew Brees being number 2. Now you're saying Drew Brees is better than Pat Mahomes. That's going to be interesting because that was the really down the stretch of the 2018 season. That was the conversation, especially for the MVP. It was like, you had Aaron Donald, and I think people never pay any kind of respect on Aaron Donald being the MVP, which I think that was just disrespectful altogether. But you had Aaron Donald, Drew Brees, and Pat Mahomes. And then, like I said, Drew Brees kind of fizzled out towards the end of the year. Pat Mahomes stayed consistent as a passer, and Chiefs offense stayed consistent and just blowing people up down the field. So those two things that were happening on a consistent basis. But then you think about Aaron Donald, all he did was get after the quarterback at a consistent basis too. So I thought that realistically, I personally felt like because of the Monday night game, we're talking Monday night, the Monday night game, Aaron Donald won the MVP. My personal opinion. So he should definitely been league MVP. Apparently somebody decided to check and see if their car is still outside. Yo, I got a new sub. That's what's up. Yo, if y'all sub to the channel, that's what's up. I appreciate that. The conversation. Where's the combo at? Where everybody at? I've had so many people join and nobody's talking football. Let's talk some football. Come on, phone. I was trying to figure out what that rumbling was behind me, but then I forgot that the theme park that's nearby me, they're like having I think it's the last day of the 4th of July celebration. So they're just like letting off fireworks, blah, 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 blah. I was like, what the hell is going on? I thought my neighbors were going crazy. That's crazy. Yo, what do y'all think about D Hop being number 11? So, we've seen the final list. Now, like, the list is out there. D Hop and Bobby Wagner, I feel like, should have been two players that should have been in the top 10. Not on some Madden 99 overall bull list. Like, I'm talking about, like, realistically, I feel like those are two guys that should have been in the top 10 because they're just that good at their respective positions. And I think they kind of. I know it's a quarterback driven league for sure. I know the NFL is. But I feel like they just picked way number 10, number 1 is our heart. Okay. But I just feel like they paid a little bit too much like, oh yeah, quarterbacks, Woohoo! But like Bobby Wagner at middle linebacker or inside linebacker, dude's a beast. Like all he does is make the Seattle defense that much better. And D Hop, I feel like being a wide receiver who can play with any quarterback. Like yeah, Deshaun Watson is his go-to, and Deshaun Watson is a quarterback in Houston. But I feel like realistically, give Josh Rosen D Hop, and D Hop will still be D Hop. Like that's how I feel. And so it's like I don't understand. Like I really feel like they put a little bit too big of an emphasis on quarterbacks sometimes, but that's just my personal opinion. Philip Rivers a top five quarterback. Respect. I could definitely see that. That's a thing for sure. Who do y'all have? So I put out my list for the top five running backs, and the top five running backs. I guess technically TJ is the number one running back, and that's cool. But I feel like I'm going projected into the 2019 season. I really feel like for some reason Alvin Kamara is going to be the number one running back, and I had Saquon at number two. So I definitely feel like that was going to be a thing. Uh, no knock on TG. Like I feel like he's cool, but I feel like what happened to the Rams last year down the stretch, they realized how much effort and how much work that TG actually put in on their offense that they needed him in the Super Bowl. And I don't think he was right. I don't think he was right in the Super Bowl. I think they stayed away from him. I think that they try to prevent him from being hurt in the Super Bowl and doing any further damage to his knee. So I really feel like that was on purpose. But I think the Rams finally understood now down the stretch that they needed a guy like TG in the Super Bowl. They needed that guy to actually take their game to the next level. They needed that guy to help them win that game. And if you would have got me, if they, in their mind, if we would have had Ty Gurley from week 9 or week 8 in the middle of the season, we win that Super Bowl. And personally, I feel like they did because it was a defensive heavy Super Bowl, and he would have been the difference maker. Even though C.J. Anderson looked pretty good, I really feel like Ty Gurley would have just took that Rams offense into the next level. Also, I think it would have gave Jared Goff a little bit more confidence. Jared Goff is not an elite quarterback. I think we understand that now. But he's going to be a quarterback that can make all those throws. That's going to give your offense a chance to win ball games every Sunday. So that's okay. I'm okay with you being a quarterback that's going to give my team a chance to win ball games. But if you're going to be a quarterback that's going to prevent my team from winning ball games, I can't fuck with you. So I really feel like that Jared Goff needed Ty Gurley more than anybody on that field on Sunday. Um, what we got? I'm gonna try tweeting it out. Fun notes 57. Open source. Okay. The boys. We them boys. Hold up, hold up. We making noise. Hold up, hold up. Yeah, that way. Might be it. Might be done. Well, that blows. Mm-mm. That was a pretty good pull, honestly. Let's try something here. Let's try something here. Try to get some viewers in here. Oh, yo, what up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up? Okay, I think that was me. Again. Yeah, that way. Let's see. 16 or 8 touchdowns. Pro Bowl now, first team All Pro, 71 catches, 3 of them running backs, but also least targets, most yards catch isn't good enough. Joke. Okay. Let's see if that works. Gotta retweet it. He didn't play all season. Huh? That's weird, but okay. Top 5, no debating. I wonder what the Rams are gonna do with Todd Gurley this year. Like I feel like they have to they're gonna be so much smarter with him. And Jack's backs, okay. They tried way too hard on that. That's a pretty solid top 5 list. I had Joe Mixon in my top 5. I feel like Joe Mixon is definitely gonna be a top 5 running back this upcoming season. Mark Ingram, number 10. That's crazy. Derrick Henry's a top 5 running back or top 10 running back. Respect. It's gonna be interesting because the biggest thing with Saints running backs, you're always worried that if they're gonna be good, like ever since Reggie Bush came out and Sean Payton has been there, everyone's like, New Orleans Saints running backs are just. And I think Sean Payton started to actually land on a running game a little bit more, especially when he had Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I think that those two guys really showed him the way, if you will, of his or the wrong in his ways or whatever. So he definitely gave him an opportunity to kind of take his coaching to the next level. I think by him taking his coaching to the next level, he definitely gave him a chance just to basically say, hey, I need running backs in my life, and I think they were so comfortable with throwing the ball, 40 times a game in New Orleans that now that they need those running backs, they didn't understand they need those running backs. Melvin Gordon definitely dang, not even a top five running back. Dang, they didn't have Melvin Gordon as a top five running back. That's messed up, Steven. Christian McCaffrey, okay. Christian McCaffrey, he did get kind of. I'm not gonna say snubbed out of the top five, but McCaffrey he had a career or a year, and I think that he's gonna have another good year. McCaffrey and Kamara are the same running back. They're right there, 4 and 5, 5 and 4. Oh, excuse me. Saquon Barkley, God, I think going into this upcoming season, I have him projected at number 2 for my top 5 running backs, but I feel like Saquon Barkley is definitely going to be a guy that it's going to be hard for him not to be the number 1 running back by the end of the season. But it depends on if Zeke wants to kind of stay healthy too. Like if Zeke, not stay healthy, but it depends on if Zeke comes into camp and if Zeke plays this year. So Zeke and Melvin Gordon are 2 running backs that are trying to get their payday like Lev did. And Le'Veon definitely deserved his. I'm not saying Zeke doesn't deserve his. If I'm Melvin Gordon, I think personally Melvin Gordon should go out and play this year and just say, hey, I'm that good. I'm that good of a running back. I think Zeke has a better leg to stand on. When Zeke's not in the lineup, the Dallas offense doesn't seem like it has that same kind of pizzazz. So I definitely feel like okay. I definitely feel like Zeke definitely has an opportunity or has a leg to stand on as far as his holdout. Whereas Melvin Gordon, you've had 2 good seasons, don't get me wrong, but you had that first bad season, then you're kind of injury prone too. Like if I'm Melvin Gordon, I'm playing this year for sure. And I know that as a running back, you don't have that shelf life, you don't have that kind of durability or that ability to stay healthy. So you want to kind of give yourself a chance to at least get paid while you can. So I get that for sure. All right, this stream is done. It's done. Alright, so I appreciate anybody that joined the stream, and I appreciate anybody that decided to go and sub to the channel. Definitely make sure you guys sub to the channel. Become a footballologist today. I had fun doing this. I'm going to try to do more live streams now. Even though I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I definitely want to still try to put out live stream content because it's kind of fun. I love talking football live. I love the debate going back and forth. So, hey, if you guys are not footballologists, though, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel today. Become a footballologist. And stay safe, football fans.